Good morning everyone. So today I'll be presenting my presentation. So our topic for QS 607 is measurement of small building, as you can see. And the topic I'm going to discuss on is developing a schedule of quantities SOQ for selected trays using Microsoft Excel. So my name Mohammed, made by Mohammed Shafil Sayyar. Moving on, the outline of this presentation. So firstly, we'll have an introduction. Secondly, we'll be doing setting up Excel, how to set up an Excel spreadsheet, and measurement and quantification, abstracting quantities, and then we'll look at calculation of cost, and then we'll look at how we prepare SOQ, and presentation and documentation, and we'll go to conclusion. Moving on, so what is SOQ? SOQ simply means schedule of quantities, and it is a list of materials, labor and tasks needed for construction project with their quantities and prices. It helps contractors estimate cost and compare bids. The SOQ helps ensure transparency and standardization across project pricing. And there are 5 main components, and that include description, unit, quantity, rate per unit, and total amount. Moving on to the next slide. So we have some of the measurement traits. So one of them is earthwork. Earthwork, which involves excavation, grading, and leveling of soil to prepare the site for construction. It includes also tasks like cutting, filling, and compacting soil. The second one is concrete, which refers to mixing and placing concrete for structural elements like slabs, beams, and columns, and they are usually measured in cubic meters. The third one is formwork, temporary molds or frameworks used to hold wet concrete in shape until it hardens, and it is typically measured in square meters. The fourth one is reinforcement, which involves the use of steel bars or mesh to strengthen concrete, and they are measured by weight, kg or tons, or length meters depending on the type. And the fifth one is waterproofing, which is the process of applying membranes or coatings to prevent water ingress, and they are used in foundations, roofs, and basements, and they are measured in square meters. And the last one is backfilling, and backfilling, they replace material around foundations or structures to provide support and stability, and they are measured in cubic meters. Moving on to the next slide. So how do we set up Excel spreadsheets? So the first thing we do is when we open Excel, and we have to create a new book and label the sheet as SOQ. And the second one is we create headers where we had add columns, and the columns include item number, description, unit, quantity, and the unit rate. And the total amount is equals to quantity times unit rate. So the input data, where we enter work items, measurements, and cost. The formulas, we need to add formulas as well. The group sections, where we add titles, example like excavation, concrete, and insert subtotals with sum. And the total project cost, where we calculate the grand total below all items. The format, we apply borders, bold headings, and ensure neat alignment. And at the end, we have to save the file as both like PDF or like in Microsoft Excel. Moving on to the next slide, where we see measurement and quantification. So measurement and quantification in construction refers to the process of determining and documenting the quantities of materials, labor, and resources required for a project. This is very critical as it for cost estimation, tendering, and project execution, and it follows standards rules like ANZ SMM 2018 to ensure consistency. The key steps are to review drawings. They study architectural and structural drawings. They identify work as they break down tasks like earthworks or concrete, and they measure, apply correct units, example meter squared, and prepare SOQ. So list quantities, apply rates, and calculate cost. And they prepare SOQ. They help in preparing SOQ. The next slide is about abstracting quantities. So abstracting quantities in construction involves summarizing measured quantities from drawings and specifications into a structured format, usually as SOQ. So the key steps include reviewing documents, where we analyze architectural and structural drawings. Measure quantities, where we quantify materials and labor needed for each task, such as wall footing slabs. And organizing data, where we compile data into a clear format with the item descriptions and quantities. And use standards, where we follow measurement standards like ANZ SMM 2018 for consistency. And preparing SOQ, where we create the final SOQ for pricing and tendering. So as you can see, there's an example of SOQ, where code, description, unit and quantity, and the code is 1.1 descriptions as shown below. Moving on to the next slide, calculation of cost. How we calculate SOQ. So calculation of cost in a SOQ involves determining the total expenses for each item listed in the SOQ, which is crucial for accurate budgeting and tendering. The key components, some of the key components include work items, and there are specific tasks to be performed, example excavation, concrete. And the second one is quantities, where we accurately measurements for each task, example meter cube or meter square. The unit rates and the labor wages per unit, materials cost per unit, equipment rental, operational cost per unit. So the direct cost, they are calculated as cost of item and quantity times unit rate. And the indirect, where we add indirect cost, includes overheads and a contingency, and they are typically 5 to 10%. And the total cost, they are sum of direct cost and indirect cost, which is total cost. So how to prepare SOQ? Preparing a schedule of quantities involves reviewing documents, where we understand project and specs, and measurement, where we accurately measure from drawings using standards. List items, where we categorize items by dates. Determine rates, where we use market data or past cost for unit rates. And compile SOQ, where we include descriptions, units, quantities, rates and totals. And reviewing, check for accuracy and validate with stakeholders. And the last one is submit, where we include in the tender submission. So schedule of quantities, as you can see, I've given an example. The project name is assignment 2, and you can see the description, earthwork, the contractor. It's basically this way. So you have to include all those, and the description is right here, and the unit with the quantity, rate and amount. Moving on to the next slide, presentation and documentation. So creating project presentations and documentation involves introduction. Firstly, introduction, where we overview and objectives of the project. Scope of work, which includes detailed project description and components of the project. Schedule of quantities, they are summary of items, quantities and costs. And design criteria, they are the safety factors and materials used. And finally, it comes to conclusion, which is the key findings and recommendations. Lastly, we come into conclusion. So the schedule of quantities is essential for efficient project execution in construction, and it facilitates precise measurement and quantification of materials and labor, enabling accurate abstracting of quantities through detailed cost calculations. Based on these quantities, the SOQ provides a comprehensive financial overview, empowering stakeholders to make informed decisions and ensuring project success. So as you can see, SOQ is very important in a project, as it leads to comprehensive and financial overview. It gives stakeholders a transparency as what is happening in a project, and it is essential as it gives up better profit in the construction, and and that's it. So here's my references, and if you guys have any questions and answers, you can ask me.
Thank you, Shafil. Yeah, we are on time. Yeah, good.
How much labor and materials?
No, first I will ask question. After that you can ask your question. I will give you the time. No worries. Right. Tell me one example for any trade. How do you calculate a rate? You take any trade, whatever you like, the values also whatever you like, you can assume. And tell me the process, how do we calculate the rate?
So looking at concrete, okay, so it's measured in M2 and 3, yeah. So we'll have to look at the area, okay, and value, and its length, depth, and height.
I'm asking not the quantity, I'm asking about the rate, price, rate. Rate per meter cube, how do you calculate?
So it's a quantity multiplied by unit rate.
Okay, when you are presenting the quantities, right, in numbers with decimals, when you compare the all other trades except rebar, there is a specialty when you are showing that particular number values in BOQ. What is that specialty? What is the specific things you have to focus when you are presenting in a BOQ compared to other trades? Only rebar, reinforcement. That's a particular thing you have to be very careful. What is that?
Measuring kg.
Okay, what else?
It should be 2 decimal.
Right. How we can use our BOQ or SOQ for project progress monitoring? How our BOQ or SOQ would help us for progress monitoring? You can explain with an example, no problem. We have discussed several examples during the lectures.
So it can, by preparing that, it gives a cost estimation as to how your budget will look like and how much money should be accommodated evenly, and the materials, how much materials do we need. So at the end of the project, we don't fall short of the materials.
Okay, Ekam, you can ask your question now.
I was asking that there is how much impact of labor, equipment, and these things, materials on SOQ and BOQ. How much influence they put on SOQ and BOQ? Are they really much important or not much as
No,
well?
they are important. If we do not measure, then then we'll feel short, and it
Does schedule of quantities have a direct relation with labor and material?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 74, right?